loud. All right, awesome. Oh, you're good, Ash. How are you? No worries. All right, we're going to jump in. So, first of all, how are you guys, right? Please feel free to share and check in with me over here. I mean, Trisha and Ashley, you guys have been pretty vocal in the group anyway, so I kind of know where you're at. We've been talking and communicating. So I appreciate that, because then I don't feel like I have to hunt you guys down. The ones that are too quiet, I start feeling like I gotta, what are we doing? How's it going? There's Claire. Hi, Claire. Good morning. How are you today? Feeling a little lighter, Claire, I hope. So Ash said tired. We didn't get home until late. Didn't go to sleep till 3 this morning. Oh, wild nights, Ash. Just hearing that makes me tired, because I haven't stayed up that late in so long. I love it though. And tonight's New Year's Eve, guys. So Yankee Christmas party. Ah, cool. Do you guys have plans for New Year's Eve? What are you guys doing for tonight? Does anybody have any party plans, ritual plans, ceremony plans, anything? Claire, a little tired, a little lighter. Claire, did you get to write your letter? Ash said I didn't drink, but they went through some wine, I bet. Yeah, awesome. I'm glad to hear that, Claire. Trisha going to a friend's house around 5, but plan on being home early. Yeah, my brother's going to have a couple people over. So I was like, that's cool. Yeah, nothing too wild, nothing too crazy, homey, cozy. I have some releasing stuff I want to do too. Writing a blog on your 2018 spread from winter solstice. Yeah, cool. I can't wait to read that. I want to read it. Exciting. Oh, maybe I'll do a card poll too tonight for New Year's publicly. So, you know, I know we've had like the 2-week gap. Yeah, Ash, I love your blogs. So hopefully you guys haven't, and I know I kind of touched base with some of you when we did the card poll during the week, and Claire, we had our session. I know it can be really easy to sort of fall off our habits and fall off of our routines. And, you know, sometimes we really don't know, we don't realize why it's happening. And we think it's happening just because we're busy, or, you know, we have too much stuff going on, and we start, sorry guys, there we go. And here too, that. Your water bottle? Oh, okay. All right. See you in a bit. Will you make sure that door's shut? All right. Sorry, guys. So we can often get ourselves off track, right? Under the excuse like, oh, we're busy and I have to do this and I have to do that. And what we don't realize is that sometimes, a lot of the time, there's a deeper layer to that self-sabotage. And the fact that we're allowing ourselves to get thrown off of track, you know, based on our excuses. Oh, I have to be here, I have to be there. It's a holiday, I got family, I got obligations, whatever it is. The only difference between that space where we allow ourselves to get off track and when we're usually sticking to our routine is that there's probably something going on underneath the surface that is, you know, subconsciously making us uncomfortable and allowing the space for those other little defense and avoidance mechanisms to creep in. And all of a sudden we start listening to our excuses. Whereas before we were better at keeping ourselves accountable and keeping ourselves on track. And it's always okay. That's the key thing to remember, is that it's always okay, right? We don't have to beat ourselves up. We don't need to be further along than we are. We just need to be where we are, and we need to accept ourselves where we are and love ourselves for being exactly where we are, right? Oh, Claire, sorry, my husband's reading something crazy to me. That's all good. You, Trisha, yeah, you fell off badly this week. Yeah, Ash, we got to do yours. So I can do it either tomorrow or Tuesday, but I'll look at my calendar and send you some specific times. Ash, you're home, so you're pretty flexible, right? During the day is good for you? Trisha, I spent most of my week working, sleeping, and coughing up a lung. Yeah, so that, I mean, adds to it too. And it's okay, you know, it's okay to be sick, and it's okay to self-care as long as we don't stay out of our habits too much. And I'm going to read you guys the quote. Trisha, you already heard this this morning in our clarity session in Abundant Life Mastery. But something I heard this morning is every thought you think and every word you speak is an affirmation. And I thought that was powerful because, you know, we tend to hear affirmations and we think, yeah, positive affirmations, right? We're working with affirmations. We're incorporating affirmations into our work. What we forget is that the self-talk that's going on underneath the scenes when we're not paying attention are also affirmations. So, you know, when we're in there and we're beating ourselves up for not being further along or something that happened 10 years ago, those are affirmations as well. So every time we're in there being like, oh, you know, you suck, or, oh, you're not good enough, or, oh, you should be further along, or, you know, you're worthless, whatever it is, those are also affirmations. Yep. Exactly, Trisha. The light bulb came on when I realized the negative are affirmations too. It's powerful. And that's something I want us to be mindful of as we transition into our 2018, because that self-talk is like the crux of practical application of the work. You know, we've been talking about how-tos a little bit and how to really apply this work that we're doing, because it's all well and good for us to meditate and to come to realizations and, you know, gain these insights about ourselves. But what good are these things if we don't have a way to apply it in our real life, right? And self-talk and affirmations are one of the biggest things, because when we can catch ourselves, right? And our class today is on the Soul Star, as you guys know, because you got the PDF. But I'm just touching on this stuff because I feel like we should. So when we can catch ourselves in the midst, in the throes of those negative thought patterns and stop and be like, hold up, that is not applicable anymore. This is untrue for me now, right? And we can start to challenge those belief systems that have just been running on autopilot for all of our lives. That's where we start to say, okay, we're going to shut the door on that one. And we start getting to, you know, plant seeds for the new ones, right? Because something else I heard this morning, which I posted on my wall, was the problem with not liking yourself is that you are the only person that you can never get away from. Right? So if we don't like ourselves, you know, why in the hell are we ever going to take action that's good for us? We're not, right? So that's the key too when we put conditions on our self-love and our self-acceptance. So we need to start, this is also another way to practically apply everything we're doing in the work that we're talking about. Claire said, years of these affirmations. Yeah. Ashley said, you know, it was really powerful for me when you were talking about the past hurting us because we choose for it to hurt us, because the people responsible for that hurt have already moved on. Yeah. You know, and that's a big lesson too, Ash. I mean, because we, you know, heart and hand chakras, right? That's what we've been kind of focusing on. And even if you guys like haven't been actively be able to, you know, sit down and journal or sit down and meditate, and you're busy and you're running around, it doesn't matter. Like you have sprinkled the seeds for this work. And even just sitting in class and you know, digging up this soil per se, right? We're getting this, tilling the soil here, right? Then you go on from class. Now these seeds are planted in the back of your mind. So no matter what you're doing over the course of your week, that's playing out inside of you. So you guys are doing this work, even if you're not actively sitting down and being like, oh, hey, I can do my hand chakra meditation, or I can do my heart chakra meditation. Because under the scenes, ever since you guys started this work with me, I mean, and probably before based on, you know, whatever you've been doing, but I know for a fact that ever since you guys have started working with me in this capacity and us as Hug Your Chaos, you are choosing to bring these energies and then these vibrations into your space. Every time you sit on a live stream, every time you do a task that we prompt you to do, every time you attend class, you know, all of these little ways. So it is happening under the surface for you, you know, so don't beat yourselves up. Oh, you know, I'm not doing the work and I didn't get to meditate, or I got off my routine. You're still doing the work. Everything happens for a reason, you guys. And so it's no coincidence that this for you, Ash, you know, comes up in this time that we're spending on the heart, you know, thymic, low throat, and the hand chakras, because it's very much about that. And I am going to start off reading you guys just something else from the book having to do with the heart chakra and our relationship to others before we start doing Soul Star. And we've got plenty of time because, you know, the Soul Star is pretty simple. So we've got plenty of time to cover that as well. And then Claire said, I now catch myself every time I apologize when it's unnecessary. Yay! It doesn't mean that I don't still do it, but I recognize it regularly. And often I will stop myself because most of the time I don't need to apologize. And I love that because that's exactly how it starts. Because the thing is this, right? The behavior and the habit, like I always say to you guys, it's not going to disappear like that. Now, acknowledgement is the first key. Now, of course, I wish we could just be like, oh yeah, I do that. And then poof, we stop doing it. But right. You've been creating and cultivating this habit for 30 something years. So simple acknowledgement of it isn't going to take it away. But what acknowledgement does is exactly that, Claire. It shines the light on it. So then, and because you're now practicing, you know, breath work and meditation and mindfulness, you're now shining a light on that behavior. So every time we do it, it's like, oh, look, there it is again. Oh, look, there it is again. And that's the only way that we can start to because we have to catch it in its tracks, exactly like you're doing. So catching it, and maybe you still do it, but realizing that you're doing it is part of the process. You know, 3 months from now, you're going to look back and you're going to be like, I barely even do that anymore. Wow, I remember when I just realized that I did it and I was like, oh, I was still doing it, but I realized I was doing it. So that's exactly it. That's part of the process. And it's beautiful, you know, being able to see that unfolding in you guys, right? So like for me, when I first got sober, I became aware of it, kind of the same thing, like how much I would apologize, really. If I had to like talk to someone, I'd be like, sorry, but if I had to ask somebody for something, I'd be like, sorry, but you know, somebody bumped into me and I'd be like, oh, sorry, excuse me. And I realized how much I did it as well. And, you know, it's interesting. Sometimes when I'm on autopilot, I can still do it. And then I'm like, oh no, hold up. No, I have nothing, you know? So it's, yeah, I like seeing that unfolding in you. So Ash said, that has helped me let go of a lot of negative affirmations. By the way, the Oregon EMF protector has done wonders for my hand chakras. Ooh, I love that. I saw the thing you shared, and I think I'm going to order one. I have a little piece of shungite on my phone here on the back, but I want to do the Oregon EMF protector too. I think that's powerful. Trisha, it feels powerful showing up for myself every day. Right. And you know what? Being able to own that, being able to stop and say, I'm showing up for myself today, that's exactly how we start chipping away at those shame and low self-worth issues. Bit by bit, day by day, like that other post I posted the other day, guys. It's not the big, huge things we do once in a while. It's the little everyday habits that we do day in and day out that build the foundation for self-love, self-acceptance, success, and abundance, right? It's exactly attached to all that. Each little time we show up for ourselves puts another little brick of self-worth and self-esteem in our new foundation. And Claire, the apologies are a direct response to my negative affirmations. Yeah, right. And now I can look and say, why the hell am I sorry? And dig into that. And that is exactly it, because it starts shining the light on how absurd these behaviors are and how they no longer serve us, right? Ash said, I actually remember who taught me to apologize like that. I remember her telling me she may not be responsible for apologizing, but she would want someone to tell her they were sorry when she was hurting. That always stuck with me. Right. And you know what? Like us apologizing for someone else's pain is like, I mean, unless we've directly, you know, caused it and we need to make something right and we have something to be apologetic for, you know, it's like we're taking responsibility for everybody else's shit when we walk around apologizing for everything. And that's a slippery slope. And when we want people to do it to us, it's like we're looking for them to take responsibility for whatever it is that we're going through. Or Claire said, that's exactly it, Ash. I was taught to be over responsible for the adults in my life. Exactly that. There you go. We were having that telepathy again. I hadn't even read that comment yet. And I was like, picked up on that. So that's powerful, you guys. It actually really bothers me when people overly apologize to you. And me too. And because you know what? It's a mirror. It's showing us something that we know that we're doing that is not in our own best interest. Right? So we know that when we're overly apologizing, we're selling ourselves out. So when someone else does it to us, we're like, oh God, will you just like stop? What is that? Right? Trisha, it allows them to place the blame outside of themselves. Exactly. It feels very inauthentic. Yeah, because it's exactly that, Trisha. It allows them to place the blame outside of themselves, and it allows us to take responsibility for shit that isn't ours to take responsibility for. Right? So because, yeah, I just wanted to share this with you guys because this has been coming up too for some of you guys. So, this is from that same book too that I've been reading to you guys out of. So mind and body. One of the prime areas of balance in the heart chakra is between mind and body. Like as we've talked about, right? It's like the bridge, it's the midpoint, and we got upper and lower, and there's that connecting point and that communication that occurs, right? And if we're blocked here, we can't bring up to down and we can't bring down to up for healing. So this occurs through learning to decipher the body's messages. This involves direct, distinct inner listening on the part of the mind to the body's subtle communications, and often leads to recovering memories, working through traumas, releasing stored tension, and contemplating unresolved emotional transactions. Through this process, various parts of our experience are reconnected. Feelings are reconnected with mental images. Impulses are integrated with belief systems. Sensation is connected with meaning. This is the work of self-reflection, allowing the mind to behold our experience in the body. If work on our lower chakras has brought us fully into our body, we are now ready to integrate that awareness into higher levels of complexity and understanding. And I thought this was powerful because you guys, I know a couple of you, we've talked about listening to what we inherently know we need and honoring our intuition when our body is trying to talk to us, and not always, necessarily, questioning when doctors or medical professionals are telling us we need this, this, or this. When we inherently feel that that's not what we need, learning to honor that and speak up for ourselves and listen to what our body's telling us, right? Directly coming through the heart chakra. So Trisha said there is a difference between acknowledging what someone is feeling or going through and actually apologizing for how they feel. Yes, absolutely. Being able to say to someone, hey, I understand where you're at. I see you. I hear you. I feel you. I'm sorry that you're going through it, but not taking like the and even that I've kind of gotten away from saying, because you know what, if something is for someone's best interest and their higher growth, I'm not sorry that they're going through it because it's for their own power. Now, sometimes I'm sorry because my ego wants to creep in, and I'm sorry that they have to suffer, and I would love for everybody. Exactly, Claire. I'm sad that they're hurting, but let's explore that. Why are we sad that they're hurting? We're sad that they're hurting because we think in our all, high and mighty ego mind that we shouldn't have to hurt, and that hurt shouldn't be a part of life, right? So again, that's very human of us, and it's real. I'm not saying it, to discount it. It's real. And it's the more highly sensitive we are, it can actually be painful for us to see them and be them around them as they suffer, because we feel it with them, our empathy and our compassion. Right, Trisha, you can relate to it because it makes you sad too, right? And that's a very beautiful place to be, because that's empathy and compassion. What we just have to be careful about is not getting sucked into living there, right? Because that's what I used to do. Oh, you're suffering. Let me just pick that up and carry it for you and sit over here and bury myself in the suffering of the world, right? And then when I really started to look at it, I was like, well, who am I to say that, this isn't all part of the plan? And it's very humbling to admit that. And I go back and forth with it because I'm a human. Very fine line. Exactly, Claire. So, right, all about suffering for them. Oh yeah, me too. Me too. At one point, God, I remember I was like suffering for the kids in Syria. I was suffering for everybody that was like, afflicted and dying, due to this like opiate crisis we're in. I can very quickly jump right into the pool of suffering for a lot of people. And that's exactly what overwhelmed me for a lot of years of my life. So now I can realize it's happening and I can pull back and I can be like, you know what? I acknowledge the fact that I wish it could be another way, but on the same duality, I can also acknowledge the fact that I don't know anything about the way it's meant to be. And the pain and the suffering is all just part of it, right? So, in our second chakra recovery work, we encountered and hopefully started to integrate our shadow, which contains the unconscious, rejected aspects of our personality. With an integrated shadow, we freed up energy previously used to hold the shadow back, right? So we face that shadow and then we don't have to hold it back anymore. We don't have to be afraid of dying anymore, right? We freed up energy previously used to hold the shadow back, and this newfound energy helped move us to chakra 3, where we began the process of individuation. In the heart chakra, we then continue our individuation by developing another essential balance, that of the inner female and male, or in Jungian terms, anima and animus. The anima is the archetypal energy of the inner feminine, and the animus is the inner masculine. The anima is believed to figure more prominently in men, while the animus is the counterpart in women. Still, both genders carry each archetype. We know this, right? Masculine, feminine originates in our sacral. We talk about this all the time. These archetypes also exist externally as symbols in the collective consciousness, where they often become stereotypes. Oh, totally, Ash. And that's what I was trying to get at. You kind of just summed it up for me, that I wasn't able to like make the connection with my words right now, that you can relate to that empathy. But I also believe in helping people empower themselves instead of living in sorrow for them, if that makes sense. That's exactly it, and that's the bridge that I've crossed to where I used to just live in sorrow for them because I didn't know what else to do. And that's one of the biggest reasons behind me doing what I'm doing and Hug Your Chaos and me walking this path, is instead of me, walking around in sorrow for them, but doing anything I can to empower and help them. And that's exactly why I've stopped and stepped away from even saying things like, I'm sorry that you're going through that, because I'm not sorry anybody's going through something if it's for their own growth and empowerment, So, right. Those words. And it's all about how we're, describing it to ourselves. So, our first imprinting of these archetypes came from our mother and father, yet their behavior was influenced by the stereotypes of their time. Other stereotypes are fed to us through movies and romance novels, advertising and television, and reinforced by social pressure from peers. So, it is important to realize that the images of masculine and feminine that we ascribe to anima and animus are culturally dictated rather than innate. If our images of masculine and feminine become strongly polarized, meaning that masculine is defined by the absence of feminine and vice versa, then it is likely that either our anima or animus will be repressed. We have no permission for the opposite within ourselves to emerge. Okay, and because the heart and hand chakras are all about balance and all about sending and receiving and what we're putting out into the world and what we're bringing back into the world, and it is very much the place where that masculine and feminine, join together, and we can honor both within ourselves. So a lot of times, a lot of our shadow elements and stuff that we, spend trying to just push down and hold back are attached to whichever energy stream and archetype that we are oppressing, right? So like the shadow, the unconscious anima or animus gets projected onto others. So here's that projection. Oh, did we lose Claire? Here's that projection we were talking about the other day. projected onto others, often in idealized states, wreaking havoc on our intimate relationships. If a man has rejected his own feminine nature, he may abhor the feminine in other men while expecting his female partner to completely carry his concept of the feminine, criticizing any independent, assertive behavior she might display. Right? Similarly, a woman who has not developed her masculine side expects her man to be flawlessly powerful, accomplished, and heroic, while she is simultaneously oppressed by these qualities. Wow, right? Women who claim they want a nice guy and then reject him, that was me a long time ago, when he shows feelings or softness, are projecting their animus. If they can allow their own masculine side to increase, they can allow their men to become more gentle, right? So think about this when we look at our relationships with especially our partners, that's powerful stuff. If we find in our relationships that what initially attracts us later repels us, we might do well to look for projected anima or animus. And bottom line is that it comes down to the fact that it's never about the other person. It is always about us. How easy is it, you guys, to fall into that habit of blaming our partners, right? And being like, well, if you didn't do this, I wouldn't get so annoyed. And, for us being women and men, it's already hard for us to always understand exactly the way that our men think or why they function the way they do, or, that maybe they're forgetful and they're not as detail oriented as we are. It's still never about them. It always comes back to what we're projecting that is triggering us and them. Ash, I love that, right? His pink and his glitter that he lets you put in his beard. Yeah, Charles is great. I think he's very comfortable in his identity, and I love seeing that in men. I really love it. I do. Ash said, my best friend apologizes as a knee-jerk reaction because she is afraid of confrontation. It bugs me because she is more powerful than that. And yeah, it's hard watching people keep themselves in a victim mode. It's very hard. And the more that we empower ourselves, it's harder to watch the people we care about doing that because we know that they're capable of so much more. But that doesn't matter until they realize they have that power and are worthy and more powerful than that. And all we can do is hold space for them until they get to the place where they believe in themselves. So in both heterosexual and gay relationships, the archetypes can be reversed. A woman, gay or straight, may well live in the masculine life and repress her own feminine. That was me. A man may carry the feminine in his relationship with either a woman or a man. The anima and animus are more related to the concept of opposites in the developed self than actual gender. The point is to recognize and bring forth the side that is underdeveloped or undeveloped. The hard-edged career woman may need to develop her softer side, while the introverted supported male may need to develop his initiating masculine side. The resolution of the anima and animus represents the internal sacred marriage, or hieros gamos, the balancing of masculine and feminine energies within. This is exactly what Jesus and Mary Magdalene were here to embody and teach us. Oh yeah, here. Eastern body, Western mind. Let me write it here. This book is it's just, wow. Western Mind by Anodia Judith. There you go. You can just copy and paste it. And it was totally on Amazon too. I got it in like 1-day shipping. So Jesus and Mary Magdalene were the embodiment of this, in chakra work, we work with it as Shakti and Shiva, right? And that we're raising this Shakti and Shiva energy. And it's exactly when we come to that unification within the third eye that we're able to start transcending. So we need to balance and honor and hone that energy within ourselves before we can really master these lessons of the chakras above us. So, the soul star chakra, for example, that we're going to explore today. So in the earlier development of our personality, we often favor one side over the other based on what we're taught, based on our comfort zones, based on our fear, based on our parents, based on our, upbringing, based on our society. So the woman who has given body and soul to her marriage and family may find at midlife that she has never lived for herself. She may always follow in another's footsteps and She may have always followed in another's footsteps and kept her feelings within, harmoniously blending with the needs of others around her without regard for her own destiny. She has carried the archetypal feminine selflessly, but she may feel helpless and lost when it comes to striking out on her own when the children leave home and no longer define her as a mother. Her husband, who has worked hard in the world to provide for her needs, may be shocked when she wants to leave him, but her need to develop her own animus may be impossible within the rigid, that was kind of, I didn't mean to read that part, that was kind of off the point. So though we may wish it were possible, no one else can live our unlived lives for us. Our partners never do it right, and we soon find ourselves criticizing them and complaining. If only you do this, if only you didn't do that. If the masculine and feminine archetypes are repressed within us, their qualities will seem very mysterious or even undesirable. There's Claire, she's back. We are challenged to reclaim rather than look once again for someone to live them for us while we remain incomplete. So when the anima and animus have been equally developed, our relationships have stability, mutual respect, and freedom. Now, this is so important to our heart chakra relationships, because how do we expect that we're ever going to connect and be able to experience healthy, selfless, divine love if we're doing that whole dance of repressed, masculine or repressed feminine, and we're looking to others to complete those areas that we haven't integrated. We're looking to others to live out those parts that we're repressing. Those relationships are not going to be healthy, right? And that's going to translate to us building walls and shutting down and operating from a place of selfishness and need and self-centeredness. And this is going to translate, our hand chakras, we're going to be doing that dance of attract, bring it in, oh no, now you're too close, let me push it away, right? Self-sabotage, because we think we want to attract something and we open up, at the level of maybe our hand chakras, and we're doing the runaway thing where we're just absorbing everybody's crap, but then we're not healthy and balanced within ourselves. So then we either shut it down and squash it, or we start building those walls. Your connection went out. Ashley said, when I was a kid, I feel like I embraced my masculinity more because I wouldn't survive in my femininity. That was me too. Then I met Charles and he allowed me to live in that femininity. So like one end of the spectrum to the other. And that is awesome, right? And that's the secrets of it. That's what we're trying to do here, is come to that place where we can honor and acknowledge and bring up both. So it's fear-based reactions. Yeah, Trisha, exactly that, right? I want you to come close, but then when you're too close, now you got to back up. Excuse me. Or we think we want, we're looking to someone else to meet our emotional needs because we're not honoring that part of ourselves. And then when they start doing it, we're like, oh, no, you're not doing it right. Right? Now I need you to back it up. So reaching out and taking in, this is what I wanted to discuss before we go to Soul Star. So as the third chakra, solar plexus, right, Manipura, involves mastering the energetic principles of holding on and letting go, right? Like that's where we hold stuff in our gut when we're clinging to grudges and shit and we just don't want anything to move on. We store it there. The fourth, Anahata chakra, works with reaching out and taking in. So again, at the level of our hands. Fear and grief block either or both of those responses and can eventually block the heart chakra altogether. We know this, right? We've talked about this. If the heart chakra is blocked, then the arms will be blocked as well. They may habitually fold over the chest, be bound at the sides, or move awkwardly and self-consciously. If the chest is full or inflated, there may be a refusal to reach out, a fear of surrender, perhaps even a bit of narcissism, or the holding up of a challenger-defender dynamic. If the arms are weak and move aimlessly and the chest is collapsed, then it indicates an inability to take in and nourish oneself. Reaching may have become blocked because it proved fruitless in the past. So when we came into the world and we were reaching out for love and nourishment and connection to our parents and we didn't get that, what did we learn? We learned that reaching out is pointless. So I'm going to go ahead and not reach out anymore. I'm just going to provide for myself. I'm going to shut myself off. And we see it, body language. I used to do this all the time. Like, this was my comfort pose because I was so uncomfortable around people and I felt so vulnerable that me keeping my arms crossed across my chest was like a defense mechanism, right? So if we're walking around like this all the time, how are we open to receiving anything? We're not. Stand up. Trisha used to stand with your hands and fists. Claire, you were arms across the chest too. And yeah, so think about that, right? Standing with your hands and fists all the time. Think about what you're doing with your hand chakras. You're not creating any like balance and flow and receive and giving. You're just like, no, I gotta keep it. I'm gonna hold down. I'm shut down, stay away. I mean, physically, symbolically, it's like ready to fight, right? Your hands are in a fist. You're always ready to throw down. So Ash, you fidget. Yeah. And it just shows you all the layers of, how powerful our energetic beings are and how it then manifests for us physically, even in just our body language and our mannerisms. So more often, and here we go, this is what we're talking about. So it is easier for the child to stop reaching altogether than to reach and find emptiness, because we reach and we find emptiness and the emptiness is fucking painful. So then we walk around for the rest of our lives telling ourselves if we reach out, we're going to get hurt, right? I think we just talked about this, Claire, right? A little bit. So we then spend all this time in fear of reaching out and getting hurt again. And it's funny, this has been coming up over and over again this week, almost like in every person that I've had a session with, this has been coming up. So we spend our life in fear of, oh my God, if I reach out again and find emptiness, I'm going to die, right? I'm going to die if I reach out again and find emptiness. And we spend so much energy avoiding even reaching out because we're so afraid of the rejection. And what we find out as we grow up and we revisit it and we're like, okay, here's what I'm doing. Now let me just try reaching out. And we realize that even if we do reach out and find emptiness, it's not as bad as we were telling ourselves it was. Yes, it might be sad and it might bring up pain, but there it is. We didn't die. Right? But did you die? There it is. That's the illustration of the whole, but did you die? It's, Trisha, for you, it's reaching out and trusting. So, right, and all of that not wanting to reach out is directly fueled by the lack of trust and the fear that you're going to reach out and find nothing. So you don't even reach out. But every time we don't reach out, we are depriving ourselves of so much more than if we just reach out. And even if we do get let down once in a while, it's still not as miserable as not allowing ourselves to reach out. The not allowing ourselves to reach out is much more dark, much more lonely, and much more painful than the pain will be if you reach out and there's nothing there. But our head would tell us that, oh no, if we reach out and there's nothing there, that's just going to kill us. We're going to die. Right? So Claire said, my hands are always so cold, which I totally get is circulation and my dosha, but I also wonder if it's due to a heart block too. And it very well may be, because those walls are so strong and so fortified. And I mean, you are chipping away at them. So it'll be interesting to see over the next, as you continue your work and really dissolve and get that energy moving and dissolve some of those walls. If you stop having cold hands, I'll be curious to see. So Ash said, I've always been large, so I think part of me is trying to make myself smaller, less of an, oh, now that is some deep shit, Ashley. Powerful realization there. So, you have an underlying over-awareness, right, of your weight and your body size. So internally, because, there's probably some part of yourself that is judging and beating yourself up over it. So, and I have no doubt, Ash, that it's directly related to not feeling safe in the world as well. having excess weight on us is a defense, right? And behind that, you're just keeping yourself in a tiny little ball because exactly that. You want to be less of an inconvenience. That is massive, Ashley. Coming to that awareness and being able to say it and own it and honor it is massive. Good work. And thank you for being so, raw and honest with us. Claire said, I didn't, but if others did. See, that's my major block that I'm seeing this weekend. I have to stop letting my ego tell me everything is my damn fault. Yes. Your ego will have you telling everything is your fault, carrying the weight of the world. It's your fault. Go over there and feel like crap about yourself because it's your fault. Oh, those kids are starving in Somalia. That's somehow your fault too. Trump's an asshole. That's somehow your fault too, right? I mean, no. Would you blame this crap on yourself? No. So why is everybody's emotional state and well-being your fault, right? Is it your fault if somebody walks down the sidewalk and trips and fall on their face? No. So in the same way that that's absurd, it's just as absurd that you're taking emotional responsibility for everybody's crap. So, and it's in honoring it and realizing it that the progress happens. Ash said, realization, Claire, now you can recognize when it comes up. Exactly. Yeah, Ash, huge. Awesome. It's such an ego-driven way to live. That's it, you guys. So I love seeing you guys come to this stuff and just put it out there. It is easier for the child to stop reaching altogether than to reach and find emptiness. In this scenario, however, the energetic structure of the chakra gets built around that emptiness. They reach out to give, but cannot receive. This chakra is deficient. So more often, one movement will be more prevalent than the other. I often ask couples to close their eyes and express through body language the predominant energetic process of their relationship. After they have taken their positions, I ask them to open their eyes and see what each is doing. Often one will be leaning forward, arms outstretched, while the other is leaning slightly backward with arms folded or palms facing their partner, as if to hold them back. So I want you guys to very quickly think about your relationship dynamic and think about if one of you guys in your relationship would be reaching out, reaching for the other, and the other one of you would be a little bit like, okay, hold up, like let's, because I have an idea what it would be for each of you. I have an idea if we did this exercise, what would transpire with your partners. And I even know for me and Chris, like back a few years ago, Chris would have been leaning forward and I would have been all like, okay, hold up, wait, you're a little too close. Like, no, right? Claire, I knew it. Yep. Claire would be leaning forward. Trisha would be all like, oh, no. You got to like, wait, hold up. So it's powerful seeing where we're at with this. Yeah, isn't it a beautiful exercise? And it's quite powerful to do it with your partner and see what's happening. So I'll read you what else she says about it. So often one will be leaning forward, the other would be with wordless wisdom. This indicates the dynamics of the relationship. When David and Julie did this exercise, it was clear that Julie did the reaching and David pulled back. His arms folded neatly over his chest. He stood firmly and proudly in his ground, while Julie beckoned openly to him. David's own mother had been deceptively sweet, smothering him with a love that masked her own needs. As a result, he had become mistrustful and defensive in his heart chakra. He was unable to take in the love Julie was offering, mistrusting her intentions. I asked him to open his arms and Julie to drop hers by her side so they could experience the possibility of a different dynamic with different feelings. David felt relieved of the burden of having to defend. Julie could feel that it was possible to receive without demanding. Oh, you do that in yoga therapy. Awesome. Feels vulnerable. And I mean, it's so, Ashley, yeah, I feel like I might be a little resistant. That kind of hurts to say, but it has nothing to do with him or my love for him. Yeah, Ash. And I know that, right? I know that. So, and for you, Ash, it's exactly that, honoring the fact that, it's okay. So for that, where I just read, so, asked David to open his arms and Julie to drop hers by her side so they could experience the possibility of a different dynamic with different feelings. David felt relieved of the burden of having to defend, and Julie could feel that it was possible to receive without demanding. This is the age-old dance of the pursuer and the distancer. When the pursuer stops chasing, the distancer can reach out. So that's so powerful, you guys, when we can just come to honesty and communication about that in our relationships. And if our partner is doing their own work as well, and that was a massive lesson for Chris and I, is that I held space for him while he came to the point where he realized that by demanding, I was going to pull further away. But when he just stopped demanding, I was more than happy to give him exactly what it was that he was seeking, the validation, right? And we can even see where we do this from others. So for me internally, I wanted, validation and acknowledgement from people around me growing up. But at the same point, I also wasn't actually open to receiving it. So I would create that dynamic where I would never get it because it was attached to my self-worth. So it's funny that even when it comes down to, love or affirmations or acknowledgement or validation, it can be still very connected to the level of our hand chakras. So they're so small and so minor, but we don't realize, how much actually comes to us and from us at the level of our arms and our hands, right? Think about it. That's how we bring people in physically, and we bring them in close and we can hug or we push away. So that's so symbolic that our arms have everything to do with what we're bringing in and what we're putting out in the world, our arms and our hands. And then she goes on to talk about, for Kathy, it was a matter of changing old patterns. Kathy had been nursing a broken heart from a former relationship with months of deep grieving. As springtime approached, she began a new relationship with another woman in which she was finding a profound sweetness. Yet along with the excitement of falling in love again, she was also gripped with fear. My last two relationships ended abominably. How do I know this won't happen again? I'm terrified. I asked her to focus on the sweetness she had been describing in her new relationship and feel what happened in her body as she did so. I feel like swooning. I get dizzy and light. It's the falling in love. I asked her to stand and let her body express this feeling of swooning and show what it looked like, while another group member stood in for her lover. Suddenly, she was no longer in her own ground, but falling toward the other woman, out of balance and out of control. She had left her own center. No wonder she was terrified. Right? So that too, you guys, and this connects to that need to apologize. It's like when we are off our own center and we're giving the power of our own center to whomever is in our life and around us and people, places, and things, that's scary shit. So her concept of love was based on moving toward the other person with the focus on the surrendering and reaching out. While this is an essential element in any relationship, it was clear that she was missing the concept of her lover moving toward her. So same thing, guys, with what we're trying to bring into our lives and create in our lives. Are we stuck in a dynamic of going towards something and chasing, but never stopping to allow it to also move towards us? Because it's got to work both ways, balance, two-way street. So then there was Thomas More, attachment and freedom is the way we experience the universal forces in their holding on and letting go. So the soul's need for attachment and the spirit's need for freedom. This struggle is a major theme in most of our lives, enacted through the simultaneous longing and fear of commitment. In the heart chakra, we seek to balance the lower chakra's pull for security with the upper chakra's pull towards novelty. When our partner constricts us, we get restless and want to push away. The spirit hates constriction and limitations, hates to be squashed. The soul, however, finds security in the body, in familiarity, and in permanence. The soul likes a container, which allows the energy to build, whereas the spirit might resent it. When our partner is pulling away, the soul becomes insecure and wants to hold on. When our partner clings, the spirit feels restless and confined. A healthy relationship needs to honor both the upward and downward movements of energy and create a balance between spirit and soul, expansion and constriction, freedom and commitment. Thomas More states it plainly. Many people seem to live the pain of togetherness and fantasize the joys of separateness, or vice versa. They live a life of solitude and fill their heads with alluring images of intimacy. Right? It's the same thing with our giving and receiving. We live a life of, telling ourselves we don't need this or we don't need that. Well, then there's this duality, this flip side of us that's yearning for those very things. Right? Oh, so Claire, before you said that's another reason I think I would over apologize for validation. Yeah, because we want somebody to tell us, hey, it's okay. We want to, that's what we're seeking when we apologize for everything that's not our fault. We're seeking for somebody to validate that it's okay. And that has to come in with us. We're seeking just to hear those words. It's okay. It's not your fault. I forgive you. That's the root of the over apologizing, is that we're just seeking so badly for someone to tell us it's okay, when really the only one who can tell us it's okay is us, that inner voice, right? And this can be a really powerful place to practice Ho'oponopono, because, and I can't think about Ho'oponopono, Ash, without thinking of that conversation. So it's funny because Ho'oponopono is all about what it is within us that's creating situations, creating pain, creating whatever it is that we're seeing, right? We know about Ho'oponopono. So, Claire, yeah, Claire, that's on your list this week. So there's a book, Claire, it's a short book, and it's this one. Let me show you what it looks like. The Book of Ho'oponopono. It's like $10. Looks like this. Can you see that? Oop. It looks like that's what the cover looks like. The Hawaiian Book of Forgiveness, or the Book of Ho'oponopono. Powerful, powerful, powerful. Claire, I think you should definitely start incorporating Ho'oponopono into your grief healing and your process, because it's exactly that, right? So instead of apologizing outwardly, what we can do is use the Ho'oponopono phrase within us. I am sorry, please forgive me, I love you, thank you. And what we are doing simultaneously is we are acknowledging and honoring our process, the process of whatever it was that occurred, but we're honoring and acknowledging that wounded part in ourselves, that version of ourselves that is creating that very thing. And then we go through, we honor it, we acknowledge it, we ask forgiveness, and we end with love. So yeah, Claire, Ho'oponopono is going to be just amazing for you. Definitely. Definitely. Oh, I'm so excited for you to read this book now. I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe that you haven't yet, but all in divine time. It just wasn't the time for you when we were talking about it over the summer. It just wasn't. Now that it's exactly like I say, I think I even wrote it in my book somewhere, right? That people find us when we're meant to find them, but so do books, right? The information comes when we're ready for it. So you've probably physically heard us talking about Ho'oponopono many times over the last 6 months, but it's never taken root because it wasn't your time. It's making you emotional just to think about reading it. I know I need it now. Yay. And again, this is one of those places like, yay, I'm not sorry for you because I love you and I want your growth and I want your healing. So we can start practicing. That's going to be our new inner joke, guys. I'm not sorry for you. right? And we can know that when we're saying that for each other, we're saying it out of a place of just, oh, I'm getting a little teary-eyed just thinking about it for you guys, because seeing you guys come to these power moves and this growth, it fills me up so much. Just that I get to be part of your journeys, and that I get to see you guys growing, and that I get to see you guys healing, because it is literally, it's a reflection. You know, you guys are reflecting, you know, in me, all of the healing I've done for myself. And it's such an honor to be part of your journeys. And I don't even have the words. I can't. So I get so excited for you guys. So I'm really excited for you to read that book, and I can't wait to hear what you think of it and your experience with it. Yeah, but that's okay too. And knowing that, you know what, yeah, you could probably Amazon that shit and have it to your house by tomorrow. Ash is like, I'm not crying. Nope, not again. We'll just have a big old cry fest with our Cancer full moon energy. I'm Cancer rising too. So I feel like my emotional, because Cancer, I'll pull back, but I feel like with the full moon, it's okay for me to come out of the shell and express it, right? It's funny, my rising and my moon are both water. It's just balanced out by that grounded Taurian energy. But really, it fills me up so much watching you guys on this journey. So thank you for being here. And thank you for being part of my world. Thank you for showing up. Yeah, I'm gonna just cry all day today. So let's talk about the soul star, huh? So I love the soul star chakra. I think it's beautiful. And I think, you know what, my favorite part of being on this journey with all of you is that I feel like it's lifelong relationships, that even, you know, 10 years from now, when you know, we've all moved on to different paths and different teachers and different whatever, we're just going to be, you know, sisters for life. So I think that's beautiful. I feel that connection with you guys. I want you all to know that. And yeah, I'm chipping away at, right? Each one of you, we're chipping away at the list, meeting you guys in person. And every single time we get to meet one of you guys in person, it's like, oh my God, I've fucking known you. Like literally I walked into Ashley's house and I was like, oh yeah, like, but I'm here, I'm home. Hey guys, haven't seen you in a while. That was literally how it felt. And Tiffany too, you know, when I got to Tiffany's, it's just like, okay, great. You know, we're here. So that's amazing for me because, yeah, we didn't want to leave either, but we're going to be heading back south. So, Trisha, you're next on the list. We'll be heading back south. So we'll see you guys again. And it's amazing for me because I always just kept even still, it can take me a long time to really warm up to people. So the fact that I can just meet you guys in person and feel like I've known you for 100 years is just awesome and amazing and powerful. So yeah, Trisha, we got to figure out a meetup if we're going to see you on our way out of New Jersey, or if over the next 3 weeks we can arrange to meet somewhere for the day. We're doing an event here in New Jersey on the 20th. So we're going to be around until then. We're not going anywhere until then. I'm going to do a workshop at a yoga studio. I'm really excited about that. Exactly, Ash. And the fact that we were able to just kick back, meet in person, and just fucking talk, like we didn't shut up. We're just flapping on and on and on. It was like we've all known each other for so long. So I can't wait until, so Chris and I are shopping around for property. We're going to look into, you know, getting a mortgage or something to buy some property. We want to buy property so that we can have a center to do retreats. So naturally, the first retreat will be current and, you know, graduated students that we can all meet together in one place. Right? How awesome will that be? That's one of my big intentions for this year, is that we get the property, and there might not be buildings on the property for a while. We'll have the RV. We're going to start building cabins out of shipping containers, but it may be a camping reunion. And yes, of course you can bring Charles. You guys can bring and Claire, actually, that's one will be really close to you because it will be either in Colorado, Wyoming, or Montana. So we're really aiming, like we're hardcore setting the intentions to have the property by the summer. So that would be, we could have a summer camp out, and I think that would be perfect. Yeah, we're really, really super excited because how fucking cool would it be to just kick back for a weekend and hang out with each other and talk. And for you guys that are catching this as the replay, this goes for you as well. Don't feel left out just because you're not here live. This goes for all of us. So, but I'm digressing. Sorry. I'm getting really excited and digressing. Let's talk about Soul Star. Yeah, because Soul Star is really beautiful because it's essentially, so if Earth Star was the home of all of our karmic, past life trauma and ickiness and stuff that has to be sorted out, Soul Star is really kind of like the seat of the actual lessons that were here, right? So it's kind of the place where we can start to have a little bit more fun with our karmic stuff, because when we can start approaching it all with humor and realize that everything is, thank God, happening, for a reason and to teach us, and we realize how, we couldn't make this shit up that happens in front of us, that gives us the opportunities to to learn our lessons or practice whatever we're praying for, or whatever it is, right? So this is really where Soul Star comes into play. And it's really where we start to transcend this idea of ourselves as individuals. So if our crown chakra is, sort of representative of our individual or ego-based self, right? And it's kind of really the last chakra that's in the physical body is the crown, Sahasrara, right? And we connect to our higher self here. We connect to oneness. We start to understand oneness consciousness. But as we move into the Soul Star, it's really where, that understanding of the crown chakra really just opens up. And we really just connect with and start living this acknowledgement and this reality that we are all one. There is more to us. So Ashley and Trisha, you guys that are so comfortable down there in your root and your basements, like this is going to be big work for you guys, and it's going to be powerful. And so this week we're talking about the Soul Star, and then next week we're talking about all of the upper chakras, so throat, third eye, crown, Soul Star, the way we did with the lower four. We're going to really explore the dynamic of the upper chakras. Trisha and Ashley, this is going to be powerful for you guys, right? Because you guys are so used to staying down, grounded in your lower chakra. So we're going to spend some time in these upper chakras. Good, you're excited. This is good. Want it, need it. Awesome. This is powerful. So, because it really is, I think for, you, Ash, making that decision to allow yourself to come up into the upper chakras and get out of your comfort zone and bring your root chakra back down to healthy size. Exactly. Time to move out of the basement. You're going to, it's going to be one of the points that stuff really opens up for you, because there really is no independent self. The independent self is an illusion. We are part of, the greater. So the Soul Star chakra is essentially our connection to the higher self, right? Which some people refer to the higher self as the real self, the true self, the knowing self, right? And this is also what we began to tap into, right? When we go into that heart chakra temple that I always talk about, that Aditattva, that infinite self that's housed in here, that little bit of that softness, that bodhicitta, as they call in Buddhism, as Pema Chodron always talks about, the bodhicitta, the soft spot within us. That is that. It's that divine essence, that beautiful, infinite soul nature that's within us. So when we're unencumbered by our human experiences, the higher self is the part of us that is not defined by our thoughts, emotions, and behaviors. So when we have those moments where we step beyond our needs and our beliefs and, our distractions, and we tap into that's, higher self. So many people talk about higher self. It's definitely something that gets thrown around a lot these days. And I think people don't even actually have an understanding of what the higher self is. So it's by working with the soul star, we start to unlock the door, and we start to be able to transcend this idea that we are somehow separate from all that is, right? It's really concern. That would be a nice change. Yeah. Ash said, I'm a little afraid of opening my third eye, specifically because I am sensitive to spirits, but it's time. I'll just hyperventilate a little bit. So, well, yeah, Ash, and it's exactly that. So, keeping it shut down out of fear, you're blocking yourself, that. And I think that this push is going to be exactly what you need, because remember, you have the power to put up boundaries. You have the power and the capability to I would suggest for you, Ash, especially the first time you really start exploring these upper chakras, do a whole maybe ritual, open a circle and create sacred space. Right? So call in the directions, open the circle, call in any spirit guides you have, do some visualization where you can create roses, you can create flowers around your circle while you're doing this third eye work, and just ask and set the intention that, put these plants around you, that nothing that is not in your best interest can come through, and just ask that it come to you, in the gentlest way possible, and to not overload you. You can set those standards around this work. So, and I think you're going to find that, again, the fear of what's going to happen if you open the third eye and tap into the third eye is going to be much, much worse than what actually happens, right? And you're going to have another, but did you die moment. Yeah, so do that. I think it would be helpful for you. So Soul Star is really concerned with our soul purpose. And when our Soul Star is balanced, we have a clear sense of who we are, what we're doing, our purpose in this life, and why we have chosen this incarnation, right? So imagine that, like, this is really where, and it's about 6 to 8 inches above your head up here. And it starts, now we're beyond color, right? So a lot of times you might hear it referred to as like that ultraviolet, purple, because if we think that the crown is like white, right? Third eye is purple, crown becomes like indigo, almost white, like so purple, it's white, because we're moving beyond the spectrum of color that the naked human eye can perceive. So that continues at the level of the soul star. So it's like beyond color. And when we think about this idea that, like, and you guys hear me talk about it because I've connected with these memories in some of my shamanic journeys, where I connected with this memory of choosing this exact incarnation and being all ready to do it because it had its lessons, and then connecting with myself as like a almost brand new newborn baby, and just frustration and not understanding and fear because I didn't understand, and just literally being like, what the fuck is going on? Because that's what I believe, that we're born into this world and we forget why we chose this incarnation. We forget that there's a purpose for all of it. So Soul Star is where we can really start reconnecting to what's going on in this incarnation for us and what our lessons are. Yeah, Claire, have love for your lessons. And sometimes when the lessons are hard and ugly and messy, we forget to have love for them. And I mean, even just acknowledging, it's 11:11, by the way, even just acknowledging that you forget to have love for your lessons is powerful, because again, it's the first step in admitting that you're doing something. So the benefits to working with the soul star are going to be, Trisha, yeah, tired of having to relearn the same lessons. And, it's something to keep in mind too. So having to relearn the same lessons can be related to, deficient energy at the level of the Ajna chakra. So, if you have a tendency to fluctuate between, excessive erratic Ajna chakra energy and then shutting it down as a defense, that can be where we're blocking ourselves from learning the lesson. It's almost like, okay, fucking learning disability, right? Like, why aren't you learning this lesson? Same shit keeps happening. And it's because energetically we're a little bit blocked there, and we do that out of defense. So I think with everything we've been learning and incorporating since the time you guys started working in the beginner course, I think coming back and, working with the soul star and then revisiting the upper four chakras the way we revisited the lower four chakras, I think you guys are going to have some powerful realizations, and stuff is going to start to fall in line that you've been intellectually understanding. It's going to start, falling into place. And we all do, we all do. I thought I was opening my third eye, Ashley said, with all of the downloads during Samhain, but it shut back down. I shut it down, owning it. Yeah, because it's like you start and you got to shut it down. It's too much. Trisha said, I think it comes down to my delusion that I can control it differently. Of course. And that's always it. It's always about ego, and it's always about control. That's the fucking underlying thing of everything. And that was kind of one of the biggest takeaways for me with my Bufo healing that I did when I was out in LA. I was then talking to the shaman later that we were kind of throwing some things around because I was trying to gain some understanding. And that's what it was. I realized that just in one more way, I'm looking to control, and it just gets, the more and more we dig into it, the more and more subtle it gets. But that's always what it comes down to, control. Yeah, Claire, you usually need to hear things a few times and let them soak in. That's exactly it. And it's the same thing with whatever it is that's showing up in our lives over and over again. Sometimes it just has to show up a few times before we get it. So our benefits to the soul star is going to be, you start being able to access parallel universes and parallel lives. So we often say past lives, right? But now for me, I truly believe that time is cyclical rather than this line that we see, right? And I believe that so I don't necessarily believe our past lives are in the past. I believe that these layers of, the world are existing and playing out simultaneously. And that's exactly why sometimes in dreams we go, to other places and it seems so real. And I think that those realities are very much playing out on some other dimension. Yeah, not linear. Definitely not linear. So as we work with the soul star and connect at this level, we start being able to access that. And it doesn't freak us out because we understand. So we start being able to access the realm of the Akashic records and the sphere of potentialities. And that goes along with what I just said, right? So if we really start getting with this idea that all possibilities exist at any given moment, it's just whichever one we decide to choose and focus on, that's what becomes our reality in this life. And that's very much affected by what our inner thought paradigms are, what our inner beliefs are, and what our lessons are. So, yeah, Claire, you would like to understand more of your past lives. Yeah. There's a lot to it because oftentimes we'll see that so much of what we're learning in this life really is carryover and karmic. And so much of what we have to heal in this life is unresolved stuff from before. Right. And that's so shamanic healing can start to be more powerful as we work with the soul star. Communication with spirit guides, right? Because if we're blocked here, lives. Past lives. Oh, I just realized that. Wait, absolutely. LOL, I love that typo. Wait, what typo? Where's their typo? My absolutely. Oh, right. No, I got you. So deeper understanding of the infinite divine love, right? It's got soul in it. Yeah. No, I love it. It does have soul in it. No coincidences. So we connected with our infinite divine love in the Anahata chakra, right? Now we start to understand it at a much deeper level, an understanding that's beyond human intellect and words. We start to be able to clear our karmic residue. Powerful, right? And karmic residue is nothing more than those energy patterns that you've held on to for more than one lifetime. So Muladhara and the Earth Star chakra sort of store, the trauma, and they store the things that need healing per se. But then we have this karmic residue up here that very much dictates our belief systems, how we carry ourselves, what we're doing. All of those inner narratives are connected to our karmic residue. So it's where we really get to clear it and blank slate it and rewrite it, right? So activation of spiritual skills, because we start to access our spiritual skills in the level of the crown chakra, and then at the level of the soul star, they get activated. Ashley said, if dreams are real realities beyond our realm, then Dean Winchester is a real person somewhere in the universe. You're so funny. That's awesome. Love it. And the soul star is an energy transference chakra, meaning it takes energy from here, the world, other people, other plants, other animals, and then it operates like a step down or a step up, like a transformer between, this greater reality that's beyond our physical world and down into, right? And we start to really just make connection with a more powerful spiritual awareness and a more powerful spiritual understanding and a true understanding of the connection with our higher selves and all that is. And, by default, that means that we start to move away from, that ego illusion of separation, or that ego illusion that we're any more important than anybody else in the greater web, right? So it's like if we look at the flower of life and we realize that every little intersecting dot is a person and we're just part of that big web, right? And it's funny because I knew someone once, she was sharing with me about her ayahuasca journey, and she told me that there came a point in her journey where the guides wanted her to go into this little thing, almost like put her in. And when she pulled back, she realized it was like just a massive hive, if you will, right? Like a massive flower of life. And her realizing that she was getting put into that one little spot was that, you are nothing more than an equal with everybody else. You are not special. You're just another cog in the great web of energy. And she couldn't handle that. And she resisted it and she fought it and she didn't want to. And I was like, wow, because it's very humbling, right? It sounds beautiful to see, doesn't it? Because so many of us are ready to, be humble and don't want to continue in this, egotistical need to be different or be better than or be special. And we just all want to be equals and we want to create that. And I think it's beautiful. And I think humility is one of the best things that we can practice. So the balanced soul star chakra, we find that we really unleash and open our ability to become conscious co-creators of our realities. So in that space, it's where instant manifestation just becomes easy and normal. So it's like if we've ever tapped into that thing where we thought of something or said something and it's immediately happened, think about that happening all the time, right? That's all that is the connection at the level of the soul star. That's all it is. So balancing the soul star chakra will start to facilitate soul progression and growth, as well as the clearing of our emotional and energetic clutter. Yay, right? Let's get rid of it. Boom. Get rid of the emotional and energetic clutter. Get rid of the karmic residue. This energy will enable us to move forward with an increased vibration as a lighter version of ourselves, not weighed down by all of that crap. As vibration rises, we may begin to appear younger in our physical form. And you guys will notice that in your PDF, I put Saint Germain, right? Because he was notorious for living forever and showing up everywhere and, you know, appearing throughout space and time. Actually, I want to live in a hive and make honey. Hell yeah, let's do it. We'll start the Hug Your Chaos Hive and just go and be sustainable. So you guys, when we're attuned and activated at the level of the soul star, we can start to access the Akashic records, but especially surrounding our soul's intent in this particular incarnation. We may also access information about our soul's highest purpose above and beyond all of our incarnations. So Ashley, this is really powerful for you because, you know, you walk through this fear of mortality in this lifetime and fear of physical mortality. So when you think about this, being able to start to access your purpose beyond this lifetime and your purpose in this lifetime, you're going to start to understand how much more to you there really is beyond this physical. And I mean, I know that you know this intellectually already, but it's going to start, you're going to start to gain understanding of it to where it starts showing up as the way you interact in this life. And it's 11/22/1122, guys. Now, so we're really online today. I don't really think about the mortality when I set my sights on my purpose, Ashley said. And it's exactly that. That's exactly it. So that focus on mortality is nothing more than an egotistical diversion against no, because your ego knows that when you fulfill your soul's purpose, it's a direct threat to the ego. So it doesn't want you over there fulfilling your soul purpose. It wants you over here being all wrapped up in your humanness and your chaos and your shit so that it can keep you small and keep you trapped because it can keep you in charge, keep itself in charge. So it's really, okay, it's in the soul star chakra that we are attached to the reincarnation cycle because our embodiments, each incarnation, have everything to do with the lessons we are or aren't learning. It has everything to do with the healing we need to attend to. So when we clear the soul star chakra by integrating our karmic lessons, we will begin the true separation of ego and spirit, aka enlightenment. And that's where we get to become ascended masters. And, you know, it's only then that we get to start choosing whether or not we're going to keep incarnating, because that's where we really, truly transcend, right? When we've really mastered all of those lessons. So it's in the mastery of these lessons and in the soul star chakra that we also start to transcend our karma. Once we evolve past karma, we will start having access to beings and to concepts on higher planes of existence that were once unattainable. And then it's there that any future reincarnations are by choice. And when we choose to reincarnate, we reincarnate with the memory of our purpose, as opposed to this current cycle where we incarnate with no memory. So if you guys remember the story of Kuan Yin, she chose to continue to live out a physical existence because she wanted to ease the suffering of others, right? So that is a soul star sort of chakra embodiment of coming to where you've learned all your lessons and choosing to still incarnate, as many of the ascended masters did, in order to help others on their paths, right? So how powerful and beautiful is that? Ashley said it was funny, but actually thinking about being a part of a hive and making honey, it was a moment of seeing past the mortality for me. The universe is going to be funny and reincarnate me as a bee. Watch. What better thing to reincarnate as? Bees are magical and they give us life. That would be Queen Bee, Ash. I love it. So beautiful. And yeah, Kuan Yin. So that's exactly, we're in her story now. And there's another one of the Hindu deities that also did the same thing, learned her lessons and sacrificed herself and then chose to reincarnate to continue helping other human beings. So overactive and excessive soul star energy are very, very similar to those symptoms of the crown chakra. So extreme, ungroundedness, feeling disconnection from the earth, confused, lacking in purpose, leaf on the wind, right? I have no direction. I have no purpose. I'm ungrounded. Inability to meet earthly needs, and headaches and dizziness on the physical level. So then on the flip side of that, the deficient or the weak soul star chakra can look like the same thing. Also, the same thing as deficient crown chakra energy can look like. That yearning for more without any clarity of what more actually is, right? Oh, I want more. I know that there's more, but I don't actually have any idea what more is. That emptiness and sort of lostness. Inability to pinpoint a real clear soul purpose or intention. Emotionally, it can look like anxiety, cynicism, depression. And this is directly due to that disconnection from source and our higher self. And a person may lack faith spiritually as well as faith in themselves. And that, again, is soul star chakra related. How is it possible that I can be blocked in both root and crown? Claire said. Totally, because you know what? What it is like we can shut down. You know, we shut down out of defense. And I think it's probably, you know, your root chakra, you know, is blocked because you didn't feel like there was a place and that the world was safe for you. So that energy is a little bit stagnant and deficient, you know, and you're a little bit shut down there. And then on the same point, like, it doesn't necessarily have to be the opposite. So the unbalance is because, of course, if we're unbalanced at the root, we're going to have unbalances everywhere else, because that's the foundation. It's like building on a crooked foundation. So, right, it doesn't have to necessarily be the opposite block here. Like me, I can fluctuate from, you know, my throat and my sacral, which those are my two big ones, can both be very shut down. I generally don't get overly open at the sacral, but I can get overly open at the throat, but I can be shut down at both sacral and throat levels. Right, the energy isn't flowing. Trisha nailed it. So blockages, it just keeps it stuck. And then, you know, you probably have overactive in the third eye most of the time to compensate for blockage here. So all you're doing is keeping all of that energy within you. So anywhere else it's unbalanced, it's like just, you know, ricocheting off everywhere, you know, Claire. And it's probably a big part of what I just feel like this is you know, your mother's struggle was those blockages and no inability or nobody taught her how to channel that energy. So it was just trapped in here. And it can make us crazy, right? That's how I felt for most of my life. So, you know, it's powerful. So our correspondences for soul star, like I said, the white ray, when you guys talk about or have heard of, you know, the rays, the red ray, the blue ray, the green ray, the white ray is really where we connect at the soul star level, pure UV violet light. Crystals are going to be things like white aragonite, indigo kyanite, naturalite, danbarite, quartz, Herkimer diamonds, moldavite, tektite. And it's funny, Ash, because someone who's so comfortable being in the root chakra, I noticed that you have an affinity for these very high vibrational upper chakra crystals. Yeah, pedalite and danbarite as well. I have danbarite on there. I didn't include pedalite on my list, but pedalite for sure. And it's funny that you have this affinity for these high vibe, you know, soul star crown chakra crystals, yet you're so comfortable in your root. Quartz, exactly. Our essential oils will be jasmine, rose, neroli, peppermint, joy, and frankincense. And there's 2 chants and mantras that you can use attracted to, because you need them. Yeah, it's your intuition telling you, hey lady, you need to work with this. Right? Our intuition is calling to us. So a good healing mantra to use for the soul star is going to be the phrase Ma'azad. And what this phrase does is it helps us to clear karmic residue out of this energy center. So you can focus, and I'm going to incorporate these chants into your guided meditation, but you can also work with them on your own or incorporate them with any, you know, mudras or anything else that you guys want to work with. Give me all of them. Yeah, right? So Ma'azad, and focusing or chanting this phrase can help assist you in pulling energy down that you need to process the things that you need to process the karmic lessons. So Ma'azad pulls the energy down. And then another mantra that I included in your PDF is DEO. DEO, DEO. And this mantra helps to open it, to keep the chakra open and become more aware of the new spiritual energies that are passing through it. So if you guys are used to kind of being shut down up here, I think, start with the DEO, and then open and start becoming aware and connecting to the energies that are coming in, and then work with the Ma'azad to channel it down. That must be why when I have a realization, I say, oh crap, yeah. Funny, that's awesome, right? And there's Claire, oh yeah. DEO. Because so definitely work with these mantras. I think they're pretty powerful. They're pretty on point. So we're going to go a couple minutes over. And the meaning of the soul star chakra is infinite energy, spirituality, supreme divine wisdom, and spiritual compassion, right? What beautiful qualities. And our musical note is B flat. And our spiritual lessons are transcending karma, instant manifestation, accessing Akashic records, and spiritual awakening. And our goddess energy is Isis. So I thought this could be something that we could talk more about this week in one of our live streams in the group. I found something really cool about how Isis is one of the embodiments of the soul star chakra and the full potential of the soul star chakra, and learning our soul star chakra lessons. So that's something we'll explore this week in a live stream. We'll explore Isis, and we'll maybe look more into, I have a couple other things I want to read into and share with you guys. So Ash said, I wonder if there's a mudra for the soul star, and that I haven't found yet. So I'm curious too. And I would think maybe anything having to do with, I feel almost just intuitively that to choose two different, so there's like the what is it? Jayam mudra, the knowledge mudra, which is like this. Focus, right? A mudra for focus even. So I'm going to do a little bit more research and find if I can discover any mudras, but even intuitively, guys, using mudras, whatever calls to you, because that's a perfect time for you to connect with yourself and find out what it is that you individually need and what lessons are you currently learning, what are you currently working through, and then using your discernment to choose a mudra based on what's best for you right now. And that's what I love most about this level of teaching you guys is, empowering you to go out and decide, right? Because all too often, how do we learn? How do we learn all through the school systems in our life here in our country, right? It's like you just believe what you're told and they just tell you what to think, right? And nobody, they forget how to teach us how to assess and critically think and make decisions that are right for us. So this is the perfect time to practice that, is really, exploring the journal prompts, right? Looking through the journal prompts and seeing, getting honest with yourself, what's coming up most, what are your answers to those prompts, and then finding the mudras that are the counterbalance to those issues that come up. Yeah, exactly. We learn how to pass standardized tests. We don't actually ever learn how to think and make decisions for ourselves. And I see it all the time in social media. People just want you to give them the answers all the time. And I'm very much like, no, I'm not going to just give you the answers. I'm going to empower you to go look for the answers, because then when you find the answers, you're going to value it that much more because you went and you found it for yourself, right? So, yeah, I think it'll be powerful because you guys are honoring, and then the lesson sticks. Exactly, Trisha. That's how we learn, hands-on. So by you guys honoring this connection and this voice that's going to start coming through and listening to yourselves and what you need, it's going to be that much more powerful. Because I could tell you all day long what works for me, but maybe those aren't your lessons, right? So, yes, I was a little bit long-winded today. I apologize to you guys. We're a few minutes over. Hopefully you guys don't mind. So that's enough out of me. Do you guys have any questions about anything or anything? Yeah, I give you guys a lot of information today. Like, I haven't seen you in 2 weeks, so I just felt like I had to tell you all this. You can go to the bookstore and get Ho'oponopono. I am so excited for you to do Ho'oponopono, Claire. Trisha, you said you're no problem. You love all the information. Ash, is there anything else for you? Any questions or comments? And then I have a movie date with a 5-year-old today. We're going to go watch the new Jumanji. That's what she wants to see. So I will unmute you guys. Happy New Year, you guys. It is such an honor to. Why can't I unmute you? Ash, unmute yourself and say goodbye to us. Ashley's making a list. Thymic crystals and Soul Star Mudra. Yeah,
sorry.
Share the thymic crystals, because I haven't really gotten a chance to explore those either, and I would love to know as you. That can be our research of the week, and then we can do some live streams and revisit.
By the way, you're going to see Jumanji today. That shit was the bomb. We saw it yesterday. Yes, it's so funny, but it references penises, so just be careful.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
She'll be all, what's that? What do they mean?
Like, they say penis. They say penis. So, like, just be careful.
I wonder if she knows what that is yet. No.
I don't know. You might have a conversation afterward.
Oh, shit.
You have the heads up.
I wish you guys the happiest New Year. Blessings, joy, love. I love all of you. And I think Chris and I are going to put together a ritual for the full moon tomorrow. We'll probably do it in the Hug Your Chaos group, because that's kind of the central point for everybody who might want to do it. But it'll be recorded, or we might do it as a live stream in there. I don't know yet, but stay tuned for that if you guys want to. Something around releasing and empowerment and just New Year, boom, let's hit the ground running.
Okay.
Yes.
So
sounds fun.
Much love to you guys. Have a beautiful day. As always, thank you for being here.
Thank you.
I see
Thank
you.
you.
It's an honor to be here with you. Love you guys.
Much love.
Love you. Have a good day, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.